Hey guys, it's Danielle. You're watching The Shit Show. I'm here, as usual, weekly, calling out the bullshit our spin doctors, culture mongers, and media overlords feed to us. But also, sometimes I'm here helping us think a little bigger than just the news cycle that we just eat every day. Anyways, today I wanted to talk about a phrase in light of Bill O'Reilly being fired, huzzah, but also a wonderful documentary I saw called The Mask That You Live In, which is about cultural expectations of masculinity. So the phrase that I'm speaking of is be a man. So be a man. What does that mean to you, dear watcher? I mean, some things that come up for me or also for some of the men in my life are this. Be a man. Don't show your emotions. Be a man. Stop crying. Don't do theater, dance, art. Some other ideas are even darker, maybe more insidious. Don't let women run or walk all over you. Sleep with as many women as possible. Don't be gay. No homo. If a woman isn't giving you what you want, just go find another. Everything is about power. Deal with it. Don't complain. Hold it in. Now, I mean, these ideas can really constrict many men from being who they are, and that results in depression, suicide, and abuse of themselves and of others, particularly some of the women in their lives, as a consequence. So now, this documentary, which is on Netflix, The Mask You Live In, for those of you who are just joining, incredible documentary. I couldn't recommend it enough. It focuses on how men from a very young age are told to be a man, fit themselves into this proverbial man box, which includes certain types of cultural expectations. Now, the documentary was done by the same director who did Misrepresentation, a documentary about the social expectation of girls. But many men said, well, what about our sons? And now this documentary is a product of that, and it got me thinking as well. So the documentary came out along with a report called The Man Box, done by Promundo, which is sponsored by Axe. Remember that weird deodorant company that plagued middle school girls and boys? They used to run around trying to spray me in the hallway about it. Anyways, happy to say that Axe is now rebranding, and it's pretty awesome. Anyways, so this study by Promundo revealed some troubling realities of expectations of boys. So some of the expectations were found that men are expected to be self-sufficient, to act tough or emotionally invulnerable, to be really fucking hot, so ripped as fuck, and to command rigid gender roles, like women are at home and men do the non-household work. So the other expectations included being straight, being super ready for sex all the time, and being aggressive. So basically, if you don't fit into these roles or these expectations as a man, which are really pushed onto kids at a very young age in our culture, in our sports, in our school, it means you aren't a man. So what are you if you're not a man? This confusion can lead to deep depression, violence, bullying, suicide even. And men around puberty age, according to the report, also stop having that sense of wonder and brotherhood because they feel they have to be tough, they have to be straight, they have to be independent. And oftentimes this behavior is learned from fathers, from lacks of fathers, media, coaches, or other cultural influences. Now, most men, like anyone else in the world, wants deep friendship, bond without fear or anger of being rejected. I mean, that's what we all want, right? So everybody wants love, and a lot of men want love from women, or men, but maybe they feel they have to be this sort of like papi chulo in order to get respect or adoration. So these expectations might cheapen their reality for happiness and true great relationships. So bringing it kind of back to our sexual harasser in chief, it seems, Bill O'Reilly, who was let go of, men tend to look up to certain types of men, and our society happens to have placed someone like Bill O'Reilly right in the spotlight, given him a microphone and millions of dollars. And when that happens, there's this assumption that our values and our system encourages this sort of like pseudo alpha male who bullies people on live television and is a sexual abuser off screen. But this role model seems to be something of an outdated one. being able to make it work, to compromise, to listen. These sorts of skills maybe have a little bit more resonance in the 21st century. Now, this is hard work. Cheating on your wife is a lot easier. Now look, men want to be courageous. Women want to be courageous. But perhaps in these instances, men are putting their courage and their bravado in the wrong place. You know, look, Bill O'Reilly, to me, lacks true sensitivity and a sense of higher mission in his work, all the sexual harassment aside. Look, he hosted a show that was meant to broaden perspectives, but was infamous for not listening to other perspectives on his show. He brings people on to cut them down to size. To me, this reflects his deep need to show him who's boss, sort of like Napoleonic need to conquer women, to conquer intellects, to conquer men, to conquer opposing opinions. And us watchers, we get some sort of guilty pleasure from watching this blood sport. Now, if you're this kind of man, it sort of confirms your understanding of the world, and instead of helping you grow or challenging you to understand different ideas, to develop. Now look, I don't want this to be seen as sort of a diatribe against men. I love men. I love the spectrum of men. I love men who might be stereotypically masculine. I love men who box or fight and they might be super straight or hot. I also love men who like power tools and cars and dirt. But I also love men who are emotionally vulnerable, who aren't afraid to cry without shame. I also love men who are into cooking and picking up their kids from school. Oh Lord, in New York City, seeing that. There is no bigger man crush. Now, I don't think men should be pushed into a single gender role or expectation that doesn't vibe with who they genuinely are. And I especially don't want men to fall into bad expectations placed on them in the same way women fall into upsetting expectations that are placed on them. In this case, though, whether it's some sort of cultural product of our violent media, you know, if they feel like they need to demand sex from women and assault them in order to gain respect from their peers or fraternity brothers, I don't know. In short, I just don't want a Bill O'Reilly to be the definition of being a man. Look, don't conflate the rubbernecking and watching a train wreck, right, with wanting to be the train. Look, Bill O'Reilly was something of a mess of an over-talking individual. And if you grow up without a dad or a father figure, you might mistake this powerful sort of man as the definition of power. Now, I encourage you who have sons, who work with young men, who are young men yourselves, to think about what we mean when we say, be a man. Maybe instead I would consider saying or telling them, be your best self. I mean, that might sound trite or a little snowflakey to you conservatives watching. However, I know many men on every side of the spectrum who have been hurt by expectations of masculinity that cramped their desires, their style, their dreams. Look, there are fashion designers, there are video gamers, there are artists, athletes, businessmen, academics, and so many men out there who are fucking awesome men. And they don't necessarily fit into the man box. So don't put people in that box and maybe start trying to think outside of it a little. Don't say be a man. Maybe just say, just be you. Let others be themselves too. Maybe say, be your best self, or be your best authentic self. The real challenge is, if you can't admit your fear and your love of other human beings, maybe you aren't being your most authentic self. And why hide from that truth? Why is this so goddamn hard for our culture? Just live and let live. Anyways, I hope you have a good night, and I'll talk to you soon. This was The Shit Show with Danielle. Thanks for watching.